I once again welcome you to my YouTube channel LEARN.COM. Today I'm going to take up a very beautiful and motivating poem by Charlotte Bronte, and the title of the poem is Life. As you can see on the screen, the title is Life, written by Charlotte Bronte. Let me first give a brief description or introduction about the poem. Now, the poem Life, written by Charlotte Bronte, is a motivating and optimistic poem that motivates and encourages us to have a positive view of life. We must have a positive outlook towards life, especially during hardships and difficulties. So we can say this is an optimistic poem in which Charlotte Bronte conveys her personal thoughts about life. She describes that life is full of sorrowful times and happy times. The poetess encourages people to see the brighter side of life, and she gives the message of hope, optimism, and happiness. Now, for your convenience, I have divided the poem into 3 slides, each slide containing 8 lines of the poem. So let's begin with it. Moving on to the first slide with first 8 lines of the poem. Let's jump into it. Now, the first 8 lines of the poem, as you can see on your screen: life, believe, is not a dream, so dark as sages say. After a little morning rain, foretells a pleasant day. Now, in these opening 4 lines of the poem, the poetess is trying to say that life is not gloomy or painful as described by most of the wise men, or what we must have heard in our life, that many wise people have said that life is very painful. But poetess is trying to tell us that it is not as gloomy as described by many wise people, and it is not as dark as people have already mentioned it. It is not as dark as people say. She expresses her optimistic view, or you can say positive view, by saying that after a little rain in the morning, the day is going to be very pleasant. Often, a little morning in the rain, the day is going to be very pleasant. The morning rain is nothing but a sign of a pleasant day. When we get to experience a little shower in the morning, then we can say it is a sign that the day is going to be very pleasant. Now, in this poem, the poetess has used metaphors, a lot of metaphors. Beautifully she has used. See, in the first 4 lines, the word morning rain here represents the small problems and difficulties or hardships of life. Whereas a pleasant day represents the happy times or the joyous times of our life. So in the 3rd and the 4th line, she has very beautifully used the metaphor figure of speech to represent the painful situation and the happy times of our life. So we can say here, the poetess uses metaphor, that is, morning rain here represents hardships or problems of life, and on the other hand, pleasant day represents happy times. So we can say morning rains and pleasant day is used as metaphors. Let's move to the next 4 lines. Sometimes there are clouds of gloom, but these are transient all. If the shower will make the roses bloom, oh, why lament its fall? A life is full of ups and downs. Happiness and sorrow go hand in hand. Sometimes there is sadness and a state of confusion in our life. Such a state is referred to as clouds of gloom. Many a time such a situation arises in our life when we are not able to decide what to do and what not to do. We are in a state of bewilderment, confusion, and such a situation is described as clouds of gloom. As you can see, I've also mentioned on the right hand side top corner the meaning of the word gloom, that is sad and without much hope. When we are into a situation when we don't have much hope, we are confused what to do and what not to do. But at the same time, We are told that this state or situation is transient, that is temporary and not permanent one. See the next line, what the poetess is telling. Sometimes there are clouds of gloom, but these are transient all. And sometimes in our life we might face problems, hardship, difficulties when we won't be able to decide as what to do. But tells that this situation is not permanent, it is temporary. These are transient all. Transient means temporary, means these situations will pass on. These are not permanent. The shower will make the roses bloom. The shower will make the roses bloom. Now, if these little problems of life are opportunities, then why should we lament them? What the poetess is trying to say, often a little rain or the shower in our life, that is, here the again shower is compared to the problems of the life. If these little problems of the life are going to open doors of opportunities in our life, that is, roses bloom. Again, here roses bloom means happy times or doors of opportunities. Then why should we ever cry over them? Why should we lament over the fall? The shower will make the roses bloom, then why should we cry over the one which has fallen? That is, one must always be prepared to the problems and hardships of life. We should always value what we have rather than repenting what we have lost. So, the shower is going to in our life. So why should we lament its fall? If one flower has fallen, then why should we lament over it? Why should we regret over it? There are many more new flowers blooming in our life. There are many more new opportunities coming in our life. So we are not supposed to lament, or what she's trying to say, that we should value what we have in our life rather than repenting on what we have lost. Again, the devices here she has used is shower represents the problems, and oh, why lament its fall? See, she has very beautifully used the figure of speech interrogation here. Why lament its fall? Means we should not lament over the fall of the flower. As I have explained in my video, the interrogation figure of speech, this is actually a rhetorical question whereby she is expressing her opinion in the form of a question, that we should not lament over difficulties or problems in the life. And she has put forward her views in the form of a question. Oh, why lament its fall? Let's see the hard words I have mentioned on the right side corner. Gloom means sad and without much hope. Transient is temporary. And lament means to regret. So these are the first 8 lines. Let's move to the next 8 lines of the poem. Rapidly, merrily, life's sunny hours flit by. Gratefully, cheerily, enjoy them as they fly. Now here the sunny hours represent the happy moments of life. Again she has used metaphor. So a lot of metaphors has been used in the poems. The sunny hours represent the happy moments of life, or the happy time of the life. So the poetess is saying the sunny hours which represent the happy moments of life, and she says that these happy moments pass away very quickly from our life. So we should enjoy these happy moments as much as possible. Gratefully and cheerfully, we must enjoy these moments of life as they are passing away from our life very rapidly. What she's trying to say, that whatever happy moments we have in our life, we must try to enjoy it as much as possible to the fullest extent. Enjoy the life to the fullest extent, because these happy moments of life are passing by very quickly. At any moment of life they can leave us. So as far as these are with us, we should try to enjoy them. Now here, as I told you, again she has used metaphor. that is sunny hours, represent the happy moments of life. Difficult word I have mentioned, flit means to fly or move quickly. What though death at times steps in and calls our best away? What though sorrow seems to win or hope a heavy sway? So in the first two stanzas, poems has used various metaphors to represent hardships of life, namely life is not a dream, morning rain, clouds of gloom, etc. And simultaneously she has blooming roses and pleasant day to represent opportunities or happy times of life. Though there are difficulties and problems in life, but we should focus on brighter side of life. That is happiness. Fine. Now, next four lines. What though death at times steps in and calls our best away? What though sorrow seems to win or hope a heavy sway? As you can see, this stanza begins with a question. The poet has asked a question. What though death at times steps in and calls our best away? Now we can see that here the poetess is using the human quality of stepping in. Step in and step out are the human qualities, but here it is attributed to death. So the figure of speech used is personification. Whenever the human qualities are used to represent abstract notions or inanimate things, the figure of speech is personification. So here death is attributed to step in. It is given the human quality of stepping in. Death is an abstract notion and it is given the human quality of stepping in. So the figure of speech is personification. Now if you have any doubt regarding figures of speech, you can watch my video based on figures of speech. I'll provide the link below. So the poetess is telling that sometimes the death might come in or step in and take our near and dear ones or the beloved ones. In short, the poetess tells us that though we lost our near and dear ones, and she has asked a question here, she is using interrogation here. In the next lines, the poetess uses the word hope. Now, what is hope? Now, what is hope? Hope is the strongest feeling that we have because it gives us power and energy from time to time as and when required. She tells us that sometimes this hope is overcome by sorrow. This is the strongest feeling that we have, which helps us in our time of difficulties. But sometimes in our life, the hope is seen to be overcome by sorrow. Again, here sorrow is given the human quality of winning. See? Sorrow seems to win. Sorrow seems to win. Means winning and losing is the quality of humans. Here it is attributed to sorrow. Again, the figure of speech personification. Because sorrow is an abstract notion. So the figure of speech uses personification. She is also using interrogation by asking a question. In this stanza, the poetess uses the rhetorical question to tell that though death might take away our beloved and sorrow might win over hope, but we should never lose the will and determination to live. Now, will and determination are the essential components of a happy life. A person having will and determination can always overcome such problems in life. Let's move to the next slide. Yet hope again elastic springs, unconquered though she fell. Still buoyant are her golden wings, still strong to bear us well. Even when sorrow seems to win over hope, we should not lose the will and determination. Now why? Because the hope is given the elastic quality. That is, it's like a spring which can get bent by sorrow but can never be broken. So hope is given the quality of spring. Now you can bend a spring, but as soon as you leave it, it again regains its shape. Similarly, hope also, sometimes it can get suppressed by difficulties and problems. The hope might get suppressed by difficulties and problems, but again it regains. During our difficult time, the hope, like a spring, bounces back and gives us power and energy to deal with difficult times. The poetess is comparing hope with the elastic spring, that is metaphor figure of speech. She also uses personification here by attributing the human quality of falling, unconquered though she fell. Unconquered though she fell. Now here unconquered though she fell. She here is hope. That sometimes the hope might fall. Now falling and getting up or rising up are the qualities of human beings. Now here the falling quality of humans is attributed to hope. Again the figure of speech, personification. A lot of personification and metaphors are used in the poem. Still buoyant are her golden wings, still strong to bear us well. As I earlier told you, that hope is the strongest feeling that we have. Now here in these lines, the poetess is comparing hope with a bird with golden wings. She is comparing the hope to a bird which has a golden wing. The golden wing represents the exceptional qualities with high values. The phrase golden wing focuses on the positive aspect of life. The hope is strong enough to lead us towards happiness. So this hope is very important. Hope is very important because it energizes us, empowers us, and helps us during our difficult time. It is given the quality of golden wings because it is an exceptional quality of life. It always helps us. Moving on to the last four lines. See, the meaning buoyant means that which can rise upward, because hope can be bent, but again it again rises upwards, which has the quality of rising upward. Manfully, fearlessly, the day of trial bear, for gloriously, victoriously can courage quell despair. Now in final lines, the poetess advises us to manfully and fearlessly face all the hardships of life. And it is this hope with golden wings and elastic qualities helps to bear the days of trial. That is, hope encourages and motivates us during the difficult time. Hope supports us during gloomy days. In last two lines, we are told that after facing all these problems or during a difficult time, the one thing that stood by us was hope. When everyone leaves us, it is only hope which stands around us. And in the final line, the poetess very beautifully describes that if we have a positive attitude of life, if we have an optimistic view, that hope and courage can put an end to the problems of life. Poetess again uses personification in the last line by attributing the human quality of quelling to courage. Here say that can courage quell despair. Now quelling is the quality of human beings which is again attributed to courage. If we are optimistic in our view and if we are focusing on happiness and brighter side of life, then we can emerge as victorious. Though there are problems in life, but courage will help us surpass these problems. So in this poem, we can say that the poetess has very beautifully changed the thought of pessimism into optimism. She has changed the negative thoughts into positive thoughts, negativity into positivity. And in this way, she has expressed her own views and personal thoughts about life. Now here, one figure of speech I forgot to explain, that is here, and calls our best away. Now, and calls our best away is a gentle way of expressing the unpleasant idea of a loved one's dying. As I explained in the topic figures of speech while explaining euphemism. Here we have the figure of speech, euphemism. Here the idea of death is conveyed in mild terms. So the figure of speech used is euphemism. Now what is euphemism? When some harsh incident taking place is described in mild terms. Using soft terms, we describe some harsh incident. So it is an example of euphemism. So with this, we come to an end of this poem. I think you might have understood. In case of any doubt, you can leave your queries or questions in the comment box. Once again, thank you very much for watching. Hoping to see you soon with the new poem or the new grammar topic. Goodbye.